Can you believe we are just days away from 2023? I feel like 2020 to 2022 have been one long year. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean it in an ongoing, hey, we had COVID kind of way, right? So in a blink of an eye, not just 365 days have passed, but to me, many more. And so I wanted to take this time to share some of the lessons of 2022 that happened to me, and I can share them with you, and to help you grow as a leader, because I look at everything that happens, whether I want to call it a experience that I'm growing from, or a mistake, or let's even call it a failure. I like to learn from these things. And so I think for most of us, that's one of the most difficult things, but I'd like to be able to share that with you. So maybe it can help you to grow as a leader as well. Hi, my name is Tracy Crossley. I'm a behavioral expert, a podcast host, and an author. I am a game changer for women leaders looking to reinvent themselves from the inside out. So today, I'm just going to share a little bit about this year. So for me, one of the things, and this is a personal thing that happened, was my husband ended up having a heart transplant. So he lived in the hospital for 6 months waiting for a heart transplant. And last year was when he first discovered that he had a heart issue. And this impacted me personally and professionally because I have my own business. I've had my own business for 15 years. And so coming into this year and having him in the hospital, and also our house was on the market and it went into escrow, and I had to find us a new home to purchase in a different area than what we lived in. And so there were those things happening as well as running a business. And I had a business partner. And so one of the things that happened was my business partner and I parted ways this past summer, and I have installed a whole new team, and that has been amazing and wonderful. And a lot of it I owe to not just how wonderful these people are, but also my abilities as a leader. And that is something I never used to give myself credit for, ever. I always thought, oh, I'm an okay leader. I march to the beat of my own drum. I'm smart. I can be a visionary. If you look up visionary in the dictionary, there's me. But this was really important. I had learned what was important as a leader, but in terms of my own self-worth and having to go through these lessons in life, which again, that's what I was saying at the beginning, not necessarily mistakes or failures, but sometimes it's circumstances, like in my husband's case with his health. And so at that time, I realized that my business was without a rudder earlier this year. Nobody was really running it. I was trying to in my spare time, along with everything else going on, right? And so the things that I learned from that were, first of all, I'm always going to be the leader. I can't give that, let's say, crown away. And the business is going to go according to what I'm doing, right? It's always from the top down, it's never from the bottom up. And that's because you set the tone in the business. Once my partner and I parted ways, I basically was put in a position of, okay, revenue's kind of in the toilet. Okay, I'm doing this, and there are things I won't do anymore. And there are things I know other people can do better. And so I didn't bring a whole new team in, but I did bring in new team members, and it's been amazing. But again, I happen to manage things in a different way than I used to. And I have an unlimited perspective, which is different than it used to. And that led to my biggest month ever in business the following month. I went from the bottom to the top in revenue. Okay. And I also, again, learned more lessons from things that I thought I had to have in place, that they will tell you, well, as a leader, you need to have certain qualities or your business needs to look a certain way. And I'm here to say, no, it doesn't. However, your business looks, if it feels successful to you, it is successful. And you do have a business. If you wake up every day and you are working on it, you are in business. Don't let anybody ever tell you anything different. And if they do, and you believe it, you have to look at why you believe it. You don't look at them as the problem. You look at yourself as the problem, because you want to commit to yourself and what your dream as far as your business, or perhaps you work for a business as a CEO, whatever that dream is, you have to keep that going. You have to keep it in front of you. That's your responsibility. And that's what I learned, especially with my husband being in the condition he was. It was my responsibility. And for me to have believed that other people were going to step up was some kind of fantasy that I had that really wasn't true. Now I can look at it and see I have people in place that if I had to step out of the business, that the business would keep going. And that to me is something I have built. Yes, along with other people, but it's the point of I don't judge myself harshly. That was another thing. So, not judging myself harshly because I'm a human. I don't have to be hard on myself. Neither do you. You know what? You're not going to do your best work being hard on yourself. You're not going to be the best leader because you're going to be kind of cranky and you're not actually motivated by something that's positive. You're motivated by an extrinsic motivation. You're not motivated by intrinsic motivation whenever you feel that way. And that's important. And that is another thing that I have learned is that what I want as a goal will happen. Sometimes it doesn't look like what I thought it was going to be. So, as an example, I've had a B2C business for 15 years. And a few years ago, I decided that I wanted to incorporate the B2B side and specifically work with female leaders. And so over the last few years, that conscious decision has sort of snowballed to the point where now I have this YouTube channel, I have a podcast, I have all of these different things. I am going to be interviewing 100 women in the next 90 days. Why? Excuse me, women leaders in the next 90 days. And why? Because I feel it's important that we hear women's voices about the things I'm talking about, because that is the only way. Hey, girls, we're going to rule the world. Right on, women? We're going to rule the world. And that's what needs to happen. Because if it doesn't, we're just going to keep repeating and complaining and saying it's the patriarchy and other crap out there. And you know what? That doesn't change anything. You still wake up, you still have to be you, and you still have to lead. And you want to be able to lead in a way that feels good. And that's how I feel in my business. And that's how I feel with the risks that I am taking. And I want you to feel good and not second guess or self-doubt yourself. Okay? And the only way to do that is by being honest with yourself, being vulnerable, being open, and looking at the reality of whatever expectations you have and what the reality is, and sticking with the reality. That doesn't mean you don't have goals. It means that you're not beating yourself up and only thinking, I'm going to say something, that there's one way to skin a cat, because there's not. There's more. So with that, I hope that you have had a very lucrative and successful 2022. And I hope that you're going to have an even more successful 2023. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and please let me know of topics that you want to hear. I am all about that because I want to give you the content that you feel you need to be the best leader that you can. All right, please take care and I will see you next time.